Hey, my reactors, I'm back again with chapter 3 of Redbone by T.Style. Okay, let's begin. I want to show her that I can make her happy. 2. Farrah. Nighttime fell on the projects, and everybody in the house was trying to find Farrah. They were in the middle of the worst heat wave DC had ever seen, and she was a sickly child who never went out without telling her parents. As everyone hung in the living room waiting for word, they all felt that Farrah's disappearance excuse me, may have been stimulated by the way Brownie had treated her earlier that day. If my baby ran away, I'm going to hurt you, Brownie, Officer said, sitting on the sofa and drinking his 7th beer while a cigarette dangled from his other hand. You hear me, woman? Brownie was struck with fear, knowing full well what her husband was capable of. Don't threaten my fucking child, Upshur. Not in my house, and not in front of me. Anyway, Elise said, setting places at the dining room table for her call party later that night. Fussing and threatening never helps nobody. Trust me, I know. Well, I'm tired of her treating her bad, Officer continued, giving his wife evil looks. If my kid don't show up in the next 15 minutes, I don't know what I'm going to do. He looked at his wife and mother-in-law with a creased frown. She's going to be fine. Herbert out there looking for her too, she said, referring to the maintenance man. Mia, Chloe, and Shadow sat quietly in their room, waiting for the verdict. They knew better than to get into their parents' business. In fact, the last time Chloe gave her 2 cents on a matter while Brownie was washing her hair, Brownie screamed in her face so long her hair dried. After 15 long antagonized minutes, Farrah walked slowly into the house with the dope head Herbert, the project's maintenance man. She was wearing nothing but her white cotton panties. A strange odor that resembled burnt meat seemed to follow her as she stood in front of her parents for judgment. Her skin was red and blistered, and she could barely put her arms down. The abscesses on her body were filled with pus, and she looked like a monster. Farrah had spent the entire time outside trying to be brown like her family, trying to look like them, in the hopes that Brownie would love her more. I found her on the roof, Herbert said. His gray uniform was ashy. She's awfully beaten up, but she's alive. We got it from here, Herbert, Elise said. She was so rattled by the sight of her granddaughter that she dropped the plate of chicken on the floor. Go on now. You got a few bucks? He asked, scratching his arms. I'm hurting really bad. Nigga, get the fuck out of here, Brownie screamed, pointing at the door. When he left, Elise asked, did somebody rape you, child? When Farrah didn't answer her quick enough, she said, did anybody touch you, child? Farrah shook her head. No, Grandma, nobody touched me. When Arthur saw the terrible condition of his daughter, he smashed his cigarette out on the wooden floor and hopped off the couch. Then what happened, Reds? He asked, looking over her scarred body. Where had you been? He figured after all the kids he abused, God was ready for payback. I've been worried about you all day, he said, pulling her into his embrace. Daddy, no, she screamed due to the sunburns and the blisters that cover her skin. It hurts. Officer pulled himself from her body and looked at her. What did you do to yourself? I went to the top of the roof and took all my clothes off. Everybody looked at her with wide eyes. They always knew Farrah was going to stir up some shit in the family, but no one thought it would be like this. For what, child? Elise asked. So I could get a tan, she cried softly. Why would you do something so stupid? Brownie laughed, thinking it was funny that she was riddled in pain. You know you can't be outside like that. You ain't trying to do nothing but hog all the attention. I wanted to look like you. Tears fell down her red face, but she was afraid they would hurt if she wiped them away. But Mama, it hurts really bad. So bad I want to scream, but I'm afraid. Elise stepped up and said, "We gotta take this baby to the hospital. This don't look good." Fern was in the hospital for 2 days as the doctor tried to understand the nature of her illness. They knew she stayed out in the sun for hours trying to get a tan, but what they couldn't understand was the reason for the blisters and the hives that covered her skin. Fern was in so much pain that she could barely move. She already pulled a few pieces of hair out of her scalp to eat the follicles because before swallowing the strands. She did this when she was miserable and uneasy about life, which was often. Even at the moment, she had a bald spot the size of a golf ball in the middle of her head. And because Brownie left Fur to groom herself, she was able to keep her secret. To conceal her personal abuse, she brushed her hair into a ponytail and covered it up. She suffered from this word trichophobia. She suffered from trichophobia, the compulsive need to eat one's own hair, which could be deadly. That's what it means. For the first few hours she was hospitalized, nobody came to visit, and she was devastated. That was until the hospital called about her vagina, the possible sexual assault on a family member part, or so they thought. Because Fur was on the roof with no clothes on, the lips of her vagina were also damaged. So when the Department of Social Services came to investigate, Officer and Brownie went to the hospital to defend themselves. With the help of the doctors and several tests, they were able to convince everyone that the muscles between her legs were also as a result of the sun's strong rays. But when the confusion was over, nobody stayed due to the drama in the neighborhood because of what they done to Theo. Jeanette was threatening to call the authorities until she kissed the barrel of Absher gun. And although her grandmother called to check on her frequently, she seemed too busy to give her the FaceTime she so desperately needed. It seemed the more she tried to be like the rest of the family, the more they pushed her away. Laying in the bed, she grabbed her black diary. Farrah didn't journal like most young girls her age. She wrote her life on the pages of her book, the way she wanted it to be. She believed it wholeheartedly when Elise told her she could have anything she wanted in life, if her heart was in the right place, and she jotted it down on paper. Once it on paper, it becomes life, Elise would say. Grabbing her favorite red pencil, she wrote. Fur was on the roof baking in the sun. She was so excited when she saw her skin turning the color of her mother's. When it got late, she went home, and all her family could talk about was how beautiful her chocolate skin was. Later, she went outside to play with the prettiest girls in her school, who was also her best friend, Coconut Elway. Fern knew it was wishful thinking to think a kid who didn't fuck with her could be her best friend. But this was her book. Continuing her story, she wrote. Coconut talked about her boyfriend and Fern talked about hers. She said his name was Sam and his skin was as dark as her mother's, and that he was as handsome as her father. The coolest thing about Sam was that he was strong as Superman. Hearing a noise outside and missing her family deeply, she looked towards the doorway. When she saw a few people who didn't even acknowledge her, she grew angry. Opening up her diary back up, she wrote, and then somebody killed and raped her, and everybody in the family felt guilty because they didn't come to see her. Pushing her book aside, loneliness kicked in her gut, and she cried herself to sleep. But on the second day, when Mia and Shadow caught a bus to the hospital to see her, she was elated. The doctors and nurses did their best to make her feel at home, but in her opinion, there was nothing on earth like family. You know they trying to say Daddy fucked you right, Mia said. The house been real fucked up lately, and we owe it all to you. Fur frown. What? Why would they think something like that? Daddy loves me. Because you sat in the sun naked with your legs open, Shadow said. What kind of shit is that? Fur, why do you do that? Mia sat on the edge of the bed. Fur was still wrestling with what people thought of her father and tuned her siblings out. Who goes on a roof butt ass naked trying to get darker? You can't change your complexion by getting it tan. Permanently away? Shadow asked. Eating a jello Fur pushed to the sides hours ago. Eating the jello that Fur had pushed to the side hours ago. Dad was supposed to be taking us to the movies, but you fucked that up for everybody. Tears pulled out of her eyes, and like his father, Shadow wanted to run. He wasn't good with emotions and preferred it if the woman in his family refrained from being so sensitive. Stop crying. Stop that crying shit. It makes my ass itch. I don't mean to cry, Fur wiped her eyes away, but I want Mama to love me like she loves everybody else. Why was I born like this? I want to look like y'all since it's obvious that that's why Mama hates me. Love is overrated, Shadow said. You ain't missing nothing. I'm serious, Fur barked. Maybe I can do something to make her proud, like help y'all out with the routine for the family celebration, she said with the wide eyes. You know you can't do that, Shadow said. Mama don't want you being in that shit. Just leave it alone. It's stupid anyway. But maybe if you told me the routine, she would like it. She looked at her eldest siblings. Please. I want to show her that I can make her happy too. I want to make her proud. Reluctantly, Mia said, we might as well show her if it ain't like we want to do the shit anyway. She played with the remote on her bed and turned on the TV. Okay, but if Mom get mad, you make sure you tell her it was all your idea, Shadow added. Done, Mia said, stopping the channel on the Golden Girls. I ain't scared of nobody out this bitch, including Mama. So we'll teach you, but you gotta stop crying and being soft. I mean, why would you want to look like us? Shadow asked. All I fuck with is red bitches anyway. Dark-skinned bitches ain't popping. You are so fucking ignorant, Mia said. And how all you fuck with is red bitches when your mama black? Well, I ain't fucking my mama. Now am I? Shadow said. I don't know. You tell me. I just prefer light-skinned chicks. I guess you could say I like what I like. So see, Fur, you ain't gotta look like us to be better. You already are. Okay, that's the end of chapter 3. And I will be back on Monday with chapter 4. If it's short like this, I do chapter 4 and 5. I gotta look through it. But on the weekends, like I said, that's when I do pick up my zodiacs and stuff. So this channel will consist of book reading. I found content. Book reading and zodiacs on the weekend starting on Fridays. So Monday through Thursdays is book reading time, story time, however you want to call it. And Friday, Saturday, Sunday is zodiac. I hope y'all enjoy. Please like, subscribe, and share. I hope y'all can understand. I hope y'all enjoy this book. See y'all Monday with the continuation of Redbone.